Welcome to this edition of King Size Conversation. I'm Brian Pfannes, your host, president of Steel King Industries, and I'm joined here with John Mariano, CFO from Evans Transportation. Welcome, John.
Thanks for having me, Brian.
Appreciate you coming in.
Absolutely.
So, John, dive right in a little bit.
Yeah.
Who is Evans Transportation? Give me your, not elevator pitch, but like who is Evans Transportation? What do you guys do?
So, second generation, 41 years in the making, headquartered out of Delafield, Wisconsin. We're a third-party logistics company focusing on really removing the friction between the shippers and the carriers of everything from parcel to over-dimensional heavy haul. So what we like to say is the envelopes to the excavators, and really the complexity of the marketplace is on both sides, right? Shippers have their challenges internally within their business, and the carrier network's vast and complicated. And so creating that, both technology and talent, that provides the efficiency in that marketplace is where we play.
So you connect the manufacturers like ourselves and making sure that products of all shapes and sizes make it to their end destination safely. Yep. You're the conduit, so to speak, between customer and manufacturer and consumer.
Yep. When you look at Steel King, obviously the goods that you're selling to your customers have a unique load capacity requirements, have unique covers requirements, have a need to go from A to B in a time frame that matters. So there's not always trucks sitting at your dock door waiting for that equipment to go onto it. So finding the right trucks at the right time with the right accessorials to drive a good cost to you guys is what we help create that efficiency by knowing the marketplace, but also knowing what the shipper needs to execute on that.
Yeah, it was interesting as I was driving in here this morning. I got stuck behind I wouldn't say an 18-wheeler as much as it was a 12-axle.
Sure, perimeter trailer probably.
Yeah, big oversized load, takes up 3 lanes to make a big hook right turn.
We love those.
Kind of, appropriate given today in the conversation that we're having. So, John, tell me a little bit about yourself, your journey to Evans Transportation.
Yeah, well, it's not a straight line like most things in logistics. It's a little bit rounded. It's a little bit built on trust and relationships. Started my career in 2003, not knowing what I wanted to do when I grew up. And so in order to learn business, I decided to get into a banking career where you can really learn the ins and outs of how people take a service or a product and turn it into a cash flow positive understanding of business. So I did that for 20 years, hit my moment in life where I realized I had all the responsibility but none of the authority to actually affect change within that industry. Banking's a phenomenal career to be able to learn all these different businesses. And with that, I met the Keatman family, both Charlie and Ryan. Yeah. Helped navigate some of their challenges of buying out a partner and also scaling their business. Not doing the banking for them, but just being a consultant for them. And Ryan really challenged me to say, when you finally figure out what you want to do, we have open arms here at Evans. Not sure what your role would be, but come on, join us. And that was about 2.5, almost 3 years ago now. Joined as a chief strategy officer, really kind of just digging in and learning where the friction was within our business and what we did in terms of the commodity services that we sell in the service offering. And then at the beginning of 2025, I got moved in the CFO role to help kind of drive more of the financial strategy and our growth within the business. So
I think it's interesting and call it a universal truth almost, is had the opportunity to speak with a ton of leaders like yourself, and the thought process is that our journey to the positions that we're in is a linear path, straight up. And in all honesty, 99% of the time that never happens. It's the stop and starts, and whether the opportunity to go through that door, or that opportunity that presents itself, do you walk through or do you not? So let's talk about current state of freight environment today. If you had to describe it in one word, what would you say?
Man, the industry is going through some fun times right now. I would say transitioning. When you look at the challenges that 2020, 2021, the COVID environment, where logistics always reported up through operations until it broke the budget. and then it reported up to finance or became accountable to finance because it blew the budget in those years. That party really created a pretty decent hangover in the industry because prices went up so much that there was a lot of capacity in the marketplace, and then demand dropped. Therefore, pricing became very transactional over the last couple of years. Beginning in 2026, this year, really probably around February, March timeframe, you really saw that party, really the cleanup being done. And we're at a stage now where that market's tightening up significantly. So you've seen the contract freight not moving as fast up along with the spot rate market. And so what we're dealing with now is a lot of folks who have bad habits in terms of how they buy freight, and or carriers who are pushing back on the pricing side of things.
Sure.
So if you have not tightened up your operational direction and kind of what you want in your freight blend and mix, you're finding some challenges in the marketplace. And capacity's not opening up. New truck sales are starting to loosen up a little bit. So there's starting to be more activity in that space. But really, you're not going to see the market loosen up like it has been over the last couple of years. So you got to be disciplined, and you got to be paying attention to how you're buying, but also those partnerships with those carriers is important.
It's interesting. So in the logistics space, if I understand it, just fractionally, coming off of called logistics recession.
Yeah.
I mean, for the last several years, right? So like, just not a lot of heavy freight moving through the network, over capacity, et cetera. And now that's activity starting to pick up across the network. And much like the steel space, no one wants to add any more capacity. So let the price kind of tick up and up. Let's talk about what's hard today right now. You mentioned for those that are staying on top of it, on top of their freight game, what does that mean to a customer, or someone as a customer to Steel King? What does that mean to them? I mean, we ship a lot of oddball type stuff.
Yeah.
Spot market, brutal right now for a host of reasons. We'll get into that. But what does that mean to a potential customer looking at how they manage and control their freight costs?
Yeah, it's the challenge we're finding right now in the marketplace is there's not a lot of money being spent within companies to develop technology or education for their team and really paying attention to it. Freight spend is typically pretty low in terms of the cost. On the average manufacturer, it's 3 to 7% of their total revenue that they're spending on freight. And so when you look at it, and that's for, pretty complicated manufacturers,
right.
But
for sure,
freight spend hasn't become a topic of efficiency and education for their team. So you've got a couple people within their logistics team who are really pressured to understand the complexities of this marketplace.
Right.
And if they don't have the knowledge and the resources, the velocity of change is speeding up. And so if they're not equipped with the right partners and or the right knowledge gathering opportunities, they're really struggling to find out what the right answer is and directionally what to be doing. So it's not about just the speed in which you make change or the speed in which you execute your loads. It's also on making sure they're the right ones, because it's not about the cost of or the price of the transaction. It's that cost of that transaction. There's so much more risk in freight now that if people don't have the right skill sets or partners along with them, there's an inability to really quantify the risk and drive efficiency to their shipping costs.
And your industry's consolidated a bunch too over the last half dozen years. I mean, it used to be a 3PL would pop up out of someone's basement and then, look at me, we can move product. And that, call it the infancy of 3PLs. That's how it started.
Yep.
But you look at the space today, rapid growth, rapid consolidation, and now with tech, AI, coming into that space, it's not just someone that has access to assets. It's really about how they leverage their scale, their capabilities, their tech. What are you guys doing at Evans today to leverage technology comparative to maybe just a couple years ago?
So we're hyper focused on two things, really. It's the talent, it's the people, right, that make our business special, especially at the size that we are. We're really we're intentional about bringing the right people in who know the space and who can build those relationships. But you got to have the technology. In order to drive scale, you can't just throw people at it,
Right.
especially in today's environment. So having the investment in technology is critical for us to be able to grow efficiently for our customers. There's going to be bigger challenges for our space also. I mean, just yesterday, SCOTUS, the Supreme Court,
Yep.
had a 9-0 ruling against C.H. Robinson in a carrier risk, or sorry, in a broker risk expansion. So right now, we're going to have to really button up our hatches, which we have been very good at Evans. But the industry as a whole is going to have a little bit more liability concerns. So when they pick carriers, that vetting process has to be more methodical and intentional. So from an AI perspective, from a technology perspective, everything that we have all of our people make lists of stuff that they have to do, not that they want to do,
Right.
and just have a notepad next to them at their desk, just telling us what is something that really creates value back to the company, but is not something that's enjoyable to do. And then our head of technology, James Slosher, really talks about the power of the possible.
Yeah.
And so if you want to figure out how to solve stuff, so we have, the ability to answer some phone calls. We were having calls from carriers coming in that weren't being answered. So being able to leverage technology to answer those calls, to be able to negotiate some of the prices, to get to a point where we're now vetting every carrier through those phone calls ahead of time. So our people don't have to answer 90% of the calls that don't have any business purpose, right? But the ones that actually matter, we can put people in there.
Uniquely human,
Correct.
giving them the opportunity to not have to
Yeah.
navigate through the garbage of phone calls that show up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have a TMS that we operate in within our Evans tech stack. We're adding on a UX on top of it that helps really drive more efficiency and visibility to our customers. I mean, visibility isn't just, the ability to see what's going on, but it's actionable data. How do you make decisions off that data? So it's not just the dashboard, but it's the dashboard that tells you what you should be doing, or more importantly, where your attention should be, what's outside of the normal operations of your business, so
Yeah.
you can be actionable.
So focusing on that, leveraging statistics, right? I mean, if that's the beauty of all the data that you capture,
Yeah.
and really kind of bringing it home to adding value back to your customer base, competitive advantage, maybe comparative to some of the other people you go up against.
There's another technology I'll talk about, Brian. There's a company called GenLogs that we leverage on the carrier side.
Yeah.
They've been very smart in terms of understanding the marketplace by putting cameras all throughout the country. And so they're capturing all those carriers and where those trucks are at. So from a fraud perspective, they've done a really nice job for our marketplace by being able to find where trucks are that are potentially carrying the wrong goods or doing the wrong activities. But for us on the carrier side, it's about, again, finding the right truck at the right price, at the right location to drive efficiency to our customer. So knowing where those trucks are and what carriers are riding what lanes, we can then proactively reach out to those carriers to build relationships with them and say, hey, here's an opportunity with this customer. Can we align to drive the best market price for your assets you have in the market?
What does a great procurement group look like in transportation space today? What I mean by that, I guess, is, and you touched on it early on about, annual bids,
Sure.
bids by project, maybe, index-based pricing, dynamic routing. I mean, for companies like us, companies like our customer base, and I realize that that's a very loaded question because it's unique to the customer and what they're moving.
Yeah.
But what does good, great look like from your seat being a CFO and kind of high level, seeing how things kind of flow through your organization?
You can't look at it just from a freight perspective. Really, it's, with my financial background, it's a portfolio, right? You're going to be
so good.
You're going to be some right, some wrong.
Yep.
It's about mitigating that right and wrong that fits with what your plan is at that time. So when you look at procurement, really, it's not about making a decision. It's about creating flexibility within your portfolio.
Yeah.
To be able to decide, is it a long-term contract that we want? Is it a short-term need? And you're never going to be right 100%. So people who think they're going to be able to beat the system, freight is now an operational platform that has to constantly evolve. There's no static budget for it. You got to understand what the market's going to yield. You got to be able to adapt.
Yeah.
And you got to have the right partners that have the speed and the ability to adapt to it.
That's I love the comment about viewing it as a portfolio. That's something that we talk about a lot here at Steel King. I think that applies to more than just freight, right? It applies to engagement in the commodity market, how you buy your metal, how you manage your contracts in that space, whether it be spot, whether it be managing it through contract, or whether it actually playing in the derivatives side of life. Same about products, right? Your
Absolutely.
product portfolio to your end customers. It isn't all or nothing in one space. You have to kind of adapt and manage the business appropriately. So that's a great perspective.
Thank you.
Transitioning a little bit, data centers.
Sure.
That's like the
Four-letter
buzzword
word.
everywhere. Tell us a little about what you do. You're unique, I think, in your engagement in the data center space here.
Sure.
I mean, call it the driver of GDP right now in the United States. I was talking to a large steel supplier or metals provider just this past week, and she had stated that the amount of alloys going in, and I say alloys because it's not just steel, it's aluminum, it's all sorts of metals going into those data centers. Huge resource draw, but tons of activity. Tell us about what you're doing in the state of Wisconsin, what Evans is doing in the state of Wisconsin,
Sure.
and kind of what you see on the data center side.
Yeah, so we were, well, I would say lucky, but it's because of relationships that really drive our business. Because of a relationship, we got brought into a hyperscaler to do some inbound logistics for them in 2024, before data centers became the political topic or the GDP thing. So we saw that opportunity. We saw the wave as we're sitting out in the ocean in this market, and we started doing some business with them. But more importantly, what we saw also is companies in the state of Wisconsin and around the state, the manufacturers who weren't playing in this space and weren't seeing growth within their business. And so we saw how much money was being spent that year, but more importantly, the 5-year forecast for them.
Sure.
And the velocity of that spend. And so we said we need to get more of our customers and or our communities, the manufacturers, engaged in this ecosystem. So we actually spun up, along with 15 other founding members, the Wisconsin Data Center Coalition. And the thought process behind that was it's not whether or not data centers should be in Wisconsin, because that's a bigger question that I can't answer. So it's not yes or no. It's yes from my perspective, but here's the way to engage our community. And if we can get more manufacturers engaged in the construction and the manufacturing, we've got phenomenal OEMs that are dealing with the mechanical and the electrical needs of these data centers. These are just big processing plants that are leveraging the trains of the world, doing the cooling systems that they put out there. The Generac, the Modines, the Johnson Controls.
Classic
Kohler.
Wisconsin companies,
But
right?
But all these big suppliers, the tier 1 OEMs, have tier 2, tier 3 suppliers, whether it be the metal, whether it be the wire, whether it be the plastics that go into these. And the velocity that they're building, they just don't have the ability to keep up with it. And so there's a lot of companies who are getting deeper and expanding their capacity. The challenge with that, though, is there's a lot of risk, because this market could pull back or slow down or change. So how do we get more players who have both the expertise and the capacity engaged in that supply chain that drives more value to the state? So when these Vantages or Microsofts or Meta come to our state and want to invest in our resources, how do we get the most bang for the buck out of it? By building that network of manufacturers here in the state, right, through the WIDCC, of bringing people together to understand the opportunity, going outside the state, going to the conferences as a unified front, and sharing knowledge and network amongst our communities outside of Wisconsin. And then really it's the advocacy side, because people are thinking about it's leveraging our water, it's leveraging our power.
Right.
And that's great. It is. I mean, so did the beer industry. I mean, they were taking our water, they were packaging it up, putting some yeast into it, and shipping it all over the country, which is great. And that was an investment of our water to make Wisconsin, Milwaukee specifically,
Stevens Point Beer.
Making
Yeah.
it a great known marketplace, right? So it's the data center marketplace right now is the technology evolution or revolution, if you will, of the digital infrastructure. They're building the highways of the future. No one's using technology less. It's going to change our world the way we operate. We got to do it for good, and we got to have generational wealth created here in our state by having our manufacturers engaged.
So what advice would you give to manufacturers in the state of Wisconsin or across the United States
Yeah.
that want to enter this growing race? Are they left out in the dark if they haven't entered in
No.
yet today, or are there opportunities to engage in that ecosystem? How can they get plugged in?
Yeah. So, I mean, the marketplace right now is, it's, just the three factors of good, fast, and cheap, right? The amount of money being spent in the space right now, it's about quality,
Yeah.
but it's at speed. The cost side of it's not as important. So if you have capacity that goes into whether it's tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, for instance, there's a company that makes hydraulics for the automotive industry. And I was challenging them to say, where would hydraulics go into a data center? And they said, well, in the cooling process, right? There's a lot of fluids that run through these
Sure.
big chillers. I was like, well, have you connected with the big OEMs? He's like, well, we haven't yet. So engineers talking to engineers, those engineers in the cooling world haven't talked to the automotive who have an expertise of thinking about it differently. So like making those connections is what the WIDCC and what we've been accomplishing there, which has been fun. But like I'd say get curious. Curiosity, I think, is the new superpower of the future.
Oh, that's good.
Because information is prevalent. I like to say, like, the days of like buying your Encyclopedia Britannica and having all your knowledge on a shelf are gone. If you have a question, ask AI, ask the internet, right?
Yeah.
And the answer's out there. It's no longer about what the answer is. It's about what the right question is to get the answer that you need, right? And so it's the power of the possible, as James says. It's Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the answer to life's 42. It's out there. What's the right question?
It's super powerful. As I'm thinking about it, all the books that I've got stacked up in my office, they're just collecting dust today. But it's no different. Guess you could have foreseen that was coming. No Encyclopedia Britannica anymore. So let's talk about culture a little bit.
Sure.
So Ryan Keepsman talks about doing life together.
Mm-hmm.
How does that work at Evans?
So people are our secret weapon, right?
Amen.
And it's people are not, they're not just there. They have lives around them. So every day that they walk in the office, every day that they leave the office, they pick up some baggage, they put some baggage down. They have highs, they have lows. Our job as leaders, our job as an organization, our job as an investor into our people is to make sure we understand where they're coming from. But then more importantly, when they come in and they get better, whether it be through challenge
Sure.
or through a nice hug or whatnot. Like there's a way that we have to meet them where they're at.
Oh, you stole it right out of my mouth. I mean, it's really meeting people where they are, not necessarily where we want them to be. And then how do we help them get there, right? So,
yeah. I mean, the days of a big corporation saying, here's your job, get it done, are done. I mean, from my perspective, because there's technologies that will do that for them. The people that we want, we pay people to think.
right.
We pay people to be accountable for their getting better. It's really hard to, in this day and age, we have such great people who take on probably too much and do stuff that they shouldn't be doing because they're awesome people and that's how they think. It's about challenging them to stop and think, why am I doing this? And is there a better way for me to do it? But also holding them accountable for that action to get better. And so if everyone thought like an owner and questioned what they're doing, and that, again, that curiosity of, hey, how can I get better? How can I do this more efficient?
Right.
I was just talking to someone this morning. I mean, I joke, but I say I'm the hardest working lazy person, right? It's finding that path of least resistance to get the job done the best you can, but also not just doing it the hard way over time, right? So our culture, it is what makes us operate every day. It comes down from Charlie Keatman, who founded our business, and then Ryan, his son, has taken it over. I mean, they lead with trust. Trust is a foundation of our business. I enjoy saying relationships grow at the speed of trust, but our cultures, when you talk about family, it's not all good and easy, right? When people are called to the table to help us, they are dealing with problems. And so we've got to make sure we meet people where they're at and help support them through those problems.
That's a perfect piece. When you say doing life together, what does that look like on a Tuesday beyond just a slogan? So like in the middle of the work week, and can you give any examples of what that might mean? I mean, you kind of teed it up already, I think, but like at Evans, what does that look like?
Yeah, I don't want to pretend like there's a superpower or some secret way to do things, right? It's about just being present. It's about understanding what people are dealing with on a day-to-day basis, knowing that they can always get better, right? And not just kind of falling in the roles of doing their job. But it's also like our team supports our team. Culture is across the organization. Everyone's responsible for it. And so, I mean, Amber sends out her emails on Wednesdays asking for a shout out. People throw their shout outs out there. Those come out on Fridays. It's about acknowledging a sense of gratitude of what people have done for them. So supporting each other.
That's powerful.
It's amazing to watch because people are supporting each other. You hear people saying, hey, I'm about to take off. Does anyone need any help? And making sure that many hands make light work.
Right.
The more people who lean in, everyone's got to carry their weight. But if ever it's done as a team, that culture gets built upon, and it's a thing that's special to watch.
Any 2 or 3 things, non-negotiables in leadership in your eyes?
I mean, trust is a teacup, right? You break trust, it's not able to be put back together.
Yeah.
For me, integrity and trust are 2 of our 5 core values, right?
Always act with integrity is one of ours, and I would argue that that's like out of the 4 that we have, that's numero uno. I mean, because it's no different than trust. Once it's broken, you can't really get it back.
We talked about whether trust and integrity are too much similar to be, it should be one core value maybe, but really integrity builds trust, and trust is that foundation that everything, whether it's the communication, the passion, right, that are built off of. So we really are, we kept integrity and trust together. So trust is a non-negotiable, and integrity. For me, I think communication is such a critical component of us operating as humans, right? My wife, hopefully she doesn't watch this because communication is probably one of my flaws when it comes to the house. But
everything you say can and will be used against you later. So it's on the record.
Communication is one of those things that just helps people understand where you're at, where they're at, and where you need to be spending your time. Because time's the most valuable resource we have. We have a limited amount of time. How you allocate that time and understanding what you need comes through communication.
Perfect. I know you guys do a bunch of things, call it competitive spirit-wise, but you're also engaged a lot with sports and universities, specifically UW.
Yeah.
Going to talk about some of the things that you do there and how that ties into doing life together?
Sure. Well, I mean, Ryan Keatman had the athletic talent and the hard work to be able to play on the Wisconsin Badger football team. Not sure how much he played, but he played. he suited up on the sidelines, that's for sure.
Hey, to be a D1 athlete
I'm never going to take it away from him.
You can never take that away. To be a collegiate athlete, period, is
amazing.
Is amazing.
The family, the hard work, the effort, the sense of accomplishments, probably I can only imagine. For us, it's something that's a part of his life and therefore part of our life as we do it together. Giving back to that community, understanding that those kids have put in an unbelievable amount of effort to get to that level, And it's something that we celebrate, but it's also, as you can have access to those people, having those conversations, you realize they put their shoes on 1 foot at a time, right? And so they have their challenges. And so as we look at how we can partner, how we can expose, how we can help drive access to that network of athletes, not just the ones that everyone knows their names, give them jobs, give them access to our network, help connect them. It's something that's we're passionate about. But then also like just teamwork and effort. You know, I tell my daughters, I have a 10 and 12-year-old daughters, it's about eat, right? It's about effort, attitude, and teamwork, right? D1 athletes have the effort, they have to have that positive attitude, and they have to have that teamwork. And when you talk about a culture at Evans, it's that effort, that attitude, and that teamwork.
Yeah, it transcends even the business aspect, right?
Exactly.
So it's the inspiration, I guess it comes from Ryan and his engagement, being that collegiate athlete, and it's helping to build and drive your space. I think one of the things that's really cool that you guys do, and it's funny, quite frankly, the skits that you've done where you've brought in someone playing softball from UW or some of the football players, different skits that you've done in the office, kind of almost like the old ESPN commercials from a number of years ago. So funny. And nice way to make bring levity to work, I guess. Like in the fact that we're all human and you can have fun at work.
Yeah.
You spend more time more often at work and engaged with the people that you work with than you do outside of it with family. So I love what you guys are doing in that space.
Thank you. Our team loves it too. I mean, the folks at G Morty, kind of what they do, they help us on the ideation and the execution side of it. But those aren't actors. Those are our people who are moving your freight.
Oh, I know.
And so letting them be human, like, I don't want to say let their hair down because I'm the bald guy, but let their hair down, have some fun, right? And enjoy life because, again, you're doing life together. And so you got to not take life so serious, especially when all the problems are coming at you on a daily basis.
Oh, yeah. From your seat,
Yeah.
Ryan's seat, my seat. I mean, what the things that come across our desks, a lot of times you can't make that stuff up. And maybe that's the after hours session with no cameras on we'll talk about, but like, I mean, the things that we experience.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's people, and people aren't black and white. When talking about that competitive mindset that athletes bring to the table, how do they make your business better? Because, I mean, not only do you pour it into, call it the NIL aspect of things and helping college athletes go through their journey at universities, but you have college athletes that work for you, that have come to work for you. How does that competitive spirit and drive make them better?
Yeah, competition for me and kind of the way I'm thinking about it, it's not just about what tier of competition you achieve, you know, whether you're a professional athlete or just a rec player. You know, competition is that drive to not just do the same thing over and over. Mm-hmm. Competition's about understanding whether you were successful, but more importantly, if you failed.
Yeah.
Why you failed, why you were successful, not resting on your laurels of what you've accomplished or didn't accomplish at that moment, but it's that evolution and that ability to continue to get better, right? So competition is not just winning, it's about that journey, right? And in the banking world, we used to talk about credit, and an older gentleman who used to be our chief credit officer used to say, John, he goes, credit is not a destination, it's a journey. Right? And so getting better as a human being, getting better as an employee, just life in general is a journey, right? It's that hash mark that they talk about on your tombstone, right? And competition helps drive, it's a motivating factor to getting better, right? And getting better is successful and feeling better about yourself.
And that mental discipline that a lot of...
Hard work.
Hard work.
Yeah.
Hard work, grit. Well, really appreciate you coming in.
Is it cool if we have Ryan join and kind of talk about competition?
Yeah, absolutely. So we can bring Ryan up, pass the puck to Ryan.
On the relationship side, so Ryan Helgason, Helgi is his nickname, is the relationship manager for Steel King. Yep. He knows the ins and outs. He works with your team. He's invaluable for making sure the technology's working. He's the talent that helps drive that process. And so he won't talk about his competitive aspect because he's hit the highest level in the hockey world without being,
we're going to talk about
without
that
being paid for it. But I'll let Ryan jump in here real quick.
Perfect. Thanks, John. So, Ryan Helgason, welcome. King Size Conversations. I've worked with you a number of years on and off, various roles. Maybe tell a little bit. I mean, John did a pretty decent segue into you, but you've got competitive athletics in your coursing through your brain or through your veins. Tell us a little bit about your journey on the sports side.
Sure. So sports, big part of my life growing up. Fortunate enough to make it to play college hockey, and ultimately that is what's driven me from my professional life. I didn't know that at the time, right? But I think a lot of what you and John just talked about, right? It creates an atmosphere of understanding the dedication and the teamwork and the effort that needs to go in and the attitude to bring towards some of that stuff. And so, through my years of playing hockey, certainly got a lot of good, real hard life lessons, right? You win and you lose. I mean, and that's kind of where it sits, and how you react to those scenarios. It's incredible how that can play out in real life, and whether that's professionally or your personal life or in any kind of scenario, you have already built up this armor, so to speak, of this is what I can do in these scenarios and use that to your advantage to grow.
Call it the highs and lows, but the persistence to keep driving on when you have a tough loss or when you experience some sort of loss. You, from a winning perspective, national champ, yes?
Yes.
What university?
University of Denver.
Okay, so that has a little bit of scar tissue for us Badger fans here this year.
Good timing on that.
Good timing, but no, that's congratulations.
Thank you.
Super impressive. Now, when you being removed from sports, but you're never really truly removed. Leadership today is about mentorship, in my mind, and you look at some of the best leaders that I've seen engaged. They're mentors first. To be a good mentor, you have to be a good coach. And now that you're out of sports, I think you're coaching.
Coaching, definitely. Yes.
So talk to us about the ability to coach.
Sure.
I mean, you coach young kids.
Yep.
But that same degree of coaching philosophy, I would imagine, pours right into the workplace too.
Absolutely. 100%. So when I think about coaching, right, first and foremost, it's my way to stay involved in the sport.
Yep.
Secondly, it's super rewarding. But when I go through in any team that I'm coaching, beyond anything else, a team aspect or a team culture is first and foremost for me. And so I've got a saying or a little kind of slogan or tagline that each team that I've ever coached, I've used with them, and it's do something for a teammate. When everybody looks at me and says, well, wow, that's super vague, right? And it is. It very much is, but it's that way by intent. And what I mean by that is that you walk into a room or you take over a team as their coach, and every individual has a different personality, a different work ethic, a different level of talent at that period in time. And so how do you leverage what they have and what they can give to make it better for the entire team? And so when I look at a few different teams that I've coached, you've got those various levels of talent and the various levels of skill and the various levels of call it IQ or whatever specific to that sport. But how do I take that and make it into a nice big snowball so this team can roll, right? And see success. And furthermore, what does that success look like? Is it wins? Do you want to win every game? It's okay if you do, but that's the decision that they make, right? So to go out there and do something for a teammate. Now you've taken all of those different skill sets and all of those different personalities, and each person can contribute in their own way, whatever level of play that is or whatever that way is for that specific individual, but now they all feel a part of it, right? And so when you get that, it becomes really powerful very quickly. And so when we look at that from a professional life here and in business, the culture and the people that John and you were talking about earlier, that plays a huge role in that. And you've got a lot of people now that can go in there and say, wow, okay, I can do this really well, so I'm going to go do that really well. And that helps this person over here or that person over there.
Right.
And they're doing the same thing for these two people, right? And you see it. It just snowballs really quickly. I think it's very powerful when you have people that are ready to walk out the door because they've got commitments to go to or things that they need to do outside of work. And they're reaching out to everybody. Hey, I'm about to head out. Do you got anything I can help with really quick? See it day in and day out. And it's super powerful when you know you've got the support of a teammate.
Yeah, someone's anticipating what's next.
Exactly.
And they don't want to leave something stranded. Got each other's backs. When I think of the sports aspect and how that transcends into business, what is easier to coach? 9 and 10-year-olds or a group of peers?
Well, I'll say the group of peers have a much longer attention span, so that makes that part a little bit easier. But truthfully, I don't know that one is harder to coach than the other. It's just different things. Because truthfully, I think to be in the space that we're in, you have to have a huge passion for what you're doing. And truthfully, I think the group of people and the peers that I work with, everybody has that passion, right? Same with the 10 or 12-year-olds, right? They have a passion. They want to be the best, and maybe they're still trying to live out a dream of playing professionally at some point. But either way, it's just different in how you approach them. So one easier than the other. Maybe from an attention span standpoint, that'd be it, really. Because, again, whether it's sports and enjoying the actual sport itself or in the office and enjoying moving freight and doing all of the cool strategic things that we can do, there's a passion behind both.
Perfect. I think call it a last question for you. When you've engaged us, and you're working on trying to move product for us, and we've run into challenges, much like you do, you get called backed up against time.
Sure.
And you're in pressure situations. Is that pressure situations that you're in work, does it become easier because you've been in pressure situations in life through sports?
Yeah, yes and no. I'd say easier from the standpoint of you've experienced it before. But every pressure situation is different, right? And so, if you think about, use a general example of bringing in raw material and it's behind the 8 ball from that side, and we've got a production line that's about to go down.
We got to go.
We got to go.
We've been in those situations.
And so I think, there's nothing easy about that, but that challenge is intriguing and it is exciting. And we've talked a lot about competition and being fiercely competitive. And that, I think, when you are faced with a scenario like that, then you just get excited about what's in front of you. How can I go get this? What can I do from a solution standpoint to get this from here to here yesterday? And that sort of thing. And so, it becomes easier in the fact that you can make quick decisions based on prior experiences, but none of them are really all that more comfortable, so to speak, because there is a challenge in front of you, right? And it is a lot of pressure, and you want to do everything in your power to get it taken care of.
Yeah, it's not the comfort, like you get comfortable in the role as much as because you have that experience of being under pressure. In some respects, that even though time is of the essence, things tend to slow down a little bit.
I
mean, that's what I've seen when we've popped up on various strategic issues that we're facing under the crunch on getting product in, getting product out to customers, tackling things that seem impossible.
Right.
But if we feel like we've been there before, like situations, the playbook itself maybe slightly different, but there's things that can be applied
Certainly.
to slow the intensity down a little bit.
Certainly. I think if you kind of peel back the layers a little bit there too, that's where the technology and the people really come into play, right? And being able to slow down time in your mind helps create clarity so that you can make the right calls at the right times,
yeah.
right? Rather than create additional challenges within the initial one, right? And so from that aspect.
Call it like the second, third effect decisions.
Exactly.
Like really kind of looking it through like what could be.
Right.
We really appreciate you coming in today, Ryan.
Thanks,
and
Brian.
Sharing
Thanks,
a little bit
appreciate being here.
about your personal history, your professional history, and thanks for joining me today.
Appreciate it. Thank you.